Blake, the History Nerd here, and welcome to a Civil War timeline. And I have a website here that I can look at it on. And first, we have the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. In 1860, I almost said 1960, Lincoln, a Republican, which a Republican is also known as a conservative, who advocated the abolition of slavery, was elected president. So he wanted to get rid of slavery, which was when white landowners owned black people that were either taken from Africa forcefully or from some other places in North America, and they were forced to do terrible labors for these rich white landowners, and they didn't get paid, and it was terrible. And we are lucky for Abraham Lincoln because he stopped this, as I will get to later. And yes, he wanted to get rid of it, and yeah, that's why. And slave owners in the South rebelled, and the country was divided. So the South was not happy that Lincoln was elected president and wanted to get rid of slavery. So they, yeah, as they said, they rebelled, and they split away from the United States and formed the Confederacy. And here in 1861, we have Civil War. Slave-holding states in the South became independent one after another. 7 Southern states seceded from the Confederacy and formed the Union in February 1861, making Richmond the capital and Davis the president. On April 12th to 14th, the Confederacy struck first and captured Fort Sumter, marking the opening of the Civil War. So the Confederacy, as I said, is what the southern states called them, and the Union is what Abraham Lincoln's side of northern states called them. And this was the beginning of a huge, costly war in America that should not have happened, because it very easily could have been avoided. Part of the reason was because before Abraham Lincoln, the president before him, I believe his name was, oh gosh, how did I forget this guy's name? But anyway, the president before him did not care and let the country basically fall apart. So, yeah. James Buchanan was his name, I believe. Right? Yes. James Buchanan. I believe so. I'll put it in the comments or write a little post about it to make sure. But anyway, yes. And next here, in 1862, we've got the Emancipation Proclamation, not to be confused with the Emancipation Proclamation, which was the abolition of pants in the United States. I am only kidding, of course. You gotta add humor into these. But anyway, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on September 22nd, 1862, which gave hope to millions of slaves and ultimately foreboded victory of the war. So, yeah, that was big for slaves, the Emancipation Proclamation, and it, as it said, it gave them hope. And now moving on. How can I not get out of this? Oh, there we go. Now moving on to the Battle of Gettysburg. So in 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg was a major turning point in the Civil War. General Robert E. Lee's army was badly wounded there, and more than 50,000 people were lost on both sides. So up to this point, the Union was basically losing the war. They were losing a lot of battles. But then at Gettysburg, they turned it completely around, and the main general of the Confederacy, Robert E. Lee, decided to challenge them at Gettysburg, and the Union held strong, won the battle, and it was almost like the Battle of Midway in World War II. I don't think I've talked about that, but the Battle of Midway in World War II was the turning point for the United States. That's when they started winning the war. If we didn't win that battle, we wouldn't have won World War II. And the same here. We probably wouldn't have won the Civil War if we didn't win this battle. They were both major morale boosters. And moving on to 1864, March to the Sea. In the top corner is an ironclad, which was basically one of the first battleships in history. And General Sherman, metal battleships. General Sherman, which is what the Sherman tank is named after, captured Atlanta at a stroke, and 2 months later began the famous March to the Sea, which severely damaged the economic power of the Confederacy. On the Eastern Front, General Grant led his troops to the vicinity of Richmond. So, this was after he captured Atlanta, he wanted to gain control of the sea, hence march to the sea, and that basically put a major debt, and not debt, what am I saying? And it deeply damaged the money of the Confederacy, as you can see, economic power, as Atlanta was a very major city, and Richmond, as the capital of the Confederacy, was going to be a big battle, and they should, if they didn't get there, then the war would probably be going a different way. And here we are, 1865. This is the last one, Reunion. The fleeing slaves, together with the Union's naval blockade, brought the southern plantation economy to the brink of collapse. On April 9th, 1865, Robert E. Lee was forced to surrender to Grant. The Civil War ended and America was united with a cost of 700,000 lives. Alright, I wish I could get out of this, but it is being weird. Oh, there we go, I got out of it. And, this isn't in my little website here, but on April 14th, I believe, same date the Titanic sunk, ironically, of April 14th, like months or like a few years later, I don't know exactly. I'm pretty sure it was in 1865. Abraham Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth because the Confederacy was so, mad that the Union won, even though there was basically no power left for them. But anyway, I'll be looking forward. I will tell next. We will probably do a little bit of World War I, which starts right here with the Sarajevo incident, which I will talk about. And yeah, I hope you like this timeline stuff. Just tell me if you do, and thank you, and bye.